welcome. You've made it off the ferry. You are at the New York Poetry Festival. I am Meredith. I am going to be hosting this beautiful stage, the Brinkley, all weekend long. It is my favorite weekend of the year, and I am so thrilled to be with you all. Next up, I am ecstatic to introduce an organization that I've had the pleasure of hearing from, I think, 5 years in a row at this point, which is wild. They are a non-for-profit literary press serving the artistic community. CavanKerry Press is committed to expanding the reach of poetry and other fine literature to a general readership by publishing works that explore the emotional and psychological landscapes of everyday life. And they bring that art to the underserved, where they live, where they work, and where they receive services. I'm thrilled to bring to the stage Dimitri Reyes, who's going to be your MC for the next half-hour block of readers. Let's give a very warm welcome to CavanKerry Press. Please bring up your blankets, your chairs. Don't be afraid of the stage. We're so thrilled that you're here with us. Here's Dimitri.
That was so great. I don't have to say anything now. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dimitri Reyes, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Director at CavanKerry Press. We are a publishing house of poetry and memoir based out of New Jersey, but we've published poets nationally and even as nationally as Puerto Rico. Let me hear that in the crowd. Woo! So our first reader, I'm just gonna go through each one of the readers as they're coming up. Our first reader, our first speaker, our first brilliant writer is Nadia Alexis. A Harlem native, is a poet, writer, photographer, and daughter of Haitian immigrants. She is the debut author of the hybrid poetry and photography collection, Beyond the Watershed. A fellow of both the Watering Hole and the Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop. Her honors include a Literary Arts Fellowship from the Mississippi Arts Commission, Poet of the Year honoree of the Haitian Creatives Digital Award, a semifinalist of the 92Y Discovery Poetry Contest, and honorable mention poetry prize from the Hurston Wright College Writers Award. Nadia's photography has been exhibited in several shows in the US, Cuba, and virtually. She holds an MFA and PhD from the University of Mississippi. Everyone, please welcome Nadia Alexis.
All right, thank y'all for coming. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I'm gonna try to project my voice. Okay, awesome. I'm reading from my new poetry book, and I'll just read a few poems from that. Watershed. I arrive at my father's feet, a dying mapu tree. He covers his eyes with mud while goats feast on my fallen hair. I hear my mother call for the Lord to send just enough rain for our lungs and her carnations to see a new season. My mother always said, boys are best at taking. I once loved a boy who turned pomegranates in my yard into salt. In the mirror, I see a donkey's head without a home. Daisies dance atop her hair, and she teaches me how to wail for cover. My mother and I kneel on uncooked rice. Sweat of our hands no longer remembers its owner. Our knees become prunes. One night I see my father weep and rock like a forgotten river, how he must know what it's like to fight against disappearance. The longer I stay in the home my lover and I built on this mountain, the more I tire of circadian leaps into the field of cacti. Every year, Lake Azuye rises and forces change on the trees and birds and people of the watershed. They no longer believe the water will leave them. I spend nights running from hail and company of vultures. I make peace with the ways my father and I look away from errors and ruin. My parents make rituals of warnings, and I follow in their footsteps anyway. But my mother says I can build a new home from clouds, and I believe her. Thank you. All right, this is called Cantaloupe. 1. I am 10 the first time Ma let me split the skin of a cantaloupe without her. My knee still bandaged and burning from a fall I took on the playground that day. While playing tag, a classmate pushes me like she wants the ground to remember it. I don't push back, tell my teacher instead, and declare I wish it were a half day. When I get home, I tell Ma I'm aching for sugar and numbing, so she hands me a knife and I lay the tough skin fruit on its side, cut the 2 shortest ends and watch them fall like playing cards. I think back to the breaking, stand it upright to make it into a split sun. Ma offers to redress my wound in ointment. I dig up and toss innards like they're memories I want to bury. There is no aloe vera here, cut until cantaloupe flesh resembles square-shaped Lego bricks. Devour several slices before I place the others to rest in our Tupperware. 2. My sisters and I climb the plastic-adorned couch in our living room. Mountains of clouds and blankets all over the rug for extra cushion. Today, we dive into an ocean, bellies full of fruit blessings and minds still on fire from a story Ma told us about a Black girl in Harlem who could fly like a bird. We want to turn into dolphins and fly. We know we can wish this, feet steadied, hands on each other's shoulders, knees bent for the journey. There's nothing like the thirst of Black girls who believe in their own dreams. Cantaloupe juice can only quench so much. We fly and dive into the water we built, bellies pointed up and down as we lie with bodies transformed into wind. All right, this is called How to Be Friends with a Sex Worker. 1. Sit in the diner, wait for her to arrive, gaze at the sun in the wall, pull out your phone, slide your thumb across the screen, look up and smile when she walks through the door. In 2 weeks, she is 19. Watch her search through lips and eyes undone with hunger. Wave your hand, stand as she walks to the table, listen to the screech of home and the hug you share. Ask her how she's doing, sit down, watch her hair bend in the August of her fingers. She tells you she's tired, but she's good. She asks you what's new. You tell her about the latest fight you're having with your man. She shakes her head and laughs. She tells you about the Craigslist date she had last night and how her pimp took all the money. Bread crumbles in your hand. 2. Jump when you hear the ring. See an unfamiliar number appear on your screen. Pick up the phone, try to hide the worry in your voice. Say hello. Her voice is loaded with bricks. She says he left her stranded. He took her purse, no phone, no money, no cigarettes. She is in New Jersey. She is cold. He is gone. She is crying. You are not breathing. You close your eyes and curse him again. She tells you he wants to teach her a lesson. You ask her what she needs you to do. Says she'll figure it out and call back, but she doesn't. You try to sleep but can't. The sun rises. You call her phone again. He picks up. You ask him where she is. He calls you bitch and tells you to mind your business. You call him a piece of shit. Promise him he will pay. Demand to speak to her. He sucks his teeth and click. You call back, he hits ignore. You call again, he picks up. He passes her the phone. She says, hello? You ask if she's okay. Your chest is lava. She says she's okay now. You sigh and tell her there's no home in this life. She tells you not to worry and that she's really okay. 3. It's spring break and you meet her at a bar. It's been weeks since you last spoke. You're late. She looks at you in annoyance. You laugh and apologize. She tells you she's left him. You inhale. She works for herself now. Thank you. There's just two more. This one is called Your Therapist Asks, "In what ways are you like your father?" It's actually a Hustle poem, so there's some repetition of the word water. Your therapist asks, "In what ways are you like your father?" And you can't recall the last time someone asked you to paint what you remember of your face in the water. You remember your father once told you to look beyond the edge of 133rd of Amsterdam to make your own mountain water. Become a doctor or the good kind of lawyer, and don't forget how he'd take you to the park as a girl to be renewed by sprinkler water. Your thick coils always frizzed up like the edges of oak tree leaves. You swallow the seahorse in your throat and remember how sounds of the running water cut into the sinks of the Harlem apartment where hands rubbing his restless back, and how one day you discovered love was the sound of ocean water diving into earth despite its plastic pollution. Yemaya still lived there, didn't she? You remember how your father loved walking into floodwater, creeping onto floors as your family slept. How late night bathroom runs meant your feet winced every time, and you wish you could summon the healing of holy water. You think of how this question makes you feel like someone is asking you to open every window and door, despite you wanting to hide the wastewater that won't seem to leave. You remember how your father spoke of how hands full of dreams brought him and your mother to the other side of the water alive. You remember how you are slow to hugging and you can't remember what it feels like to be held by your father, and how the watersheds have purpose. Nadia, sometimes you stand at the sink too long, watching the sunlight make sequins of water, cupping your hands. All right, the last poem, thank you. The last poem I'll read is called Letter to My Friend Robert. This morning I wanted to write, so I changed into my outside clothes, unlocked the door and walked onto my block, where I thought of my father, whose favorite hobby is walking up and down the streets of Harlem against my understanding, until today when I find myself seeking some kind of fire in the air. And now I'm a couple of blocks and beats of birdsong away from my Mississippi doorstep, passing by a fenced-in white dog who barks and growls at me like she believes I've taken something, or she is displeased with unshuttered windows, absent of human bodies, peering through to see about her. And oh, how green it is today that I am almost in disbelief at how nature changes in a matter of hours, or the 2 weeks it's been since I returned to the mouth of this trail on a chilly, overcast afternoon. I was met with down trees strewn about, as if all that mattered was their continued proximity to home. And this comforted me, despite my deepest love being them standing alive. And today I am convinced some God came by and dropped by a new forest and new eyes for those who beg for relief, as sudden as this vision I have of an imaginary father addicted to walking because it lets him time travel to other worlds, almost like watching a film. And some days he doesn't know what he'll get, and maybe there's magic in not knowing that one day you could arrive at the heart of a lake and there are guitars and drums and keyboards floating in the breeze, playing tunes that feel familiar and unfamiliar, and you can dance and pray to the edge of a fallen leaf, turn yourself inside out, and oh, Robert, this trail is a whisperer and a mirror I wish you could see. And please do tell if you have a spot in Brooklyn like this trail that implores me to take what I need and leave an offering if I have one to give, and journey back to myself, to arrive at a blank page and call it green, call it mockingbird, call it train, call it break, call it bloom. Thank you.
Nadia Alexis, everyone. Nadia Alexis. Next, we have Noah Davis. His first collection of This River won the Wheelbarrow Emerging Poet Book Prize from Michigan State University's Center for Poetry, and his poems and prose have appeared in Best New Poets, the year's Best Sport Writing, North American Review, Poet Lore, and others. His work has been awarded a Catherine Bakeless Nason Fellowship at the Bread Loaf Writers Conference and the 2018 Jean Ritchie Appalachian Literature Fellowship from Lincoln Memorial University. Davis earned an MFA from Indiana University. Noah Davis, everyone.
Do you think I could maybe just step down? No, that's good. I think that's good. Yeah. Everybody good? Okay. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you, everybody, for coming to listen to poetry. It's an honor to be with my press mates and to be with the press that made our poetry dreams come true. This book is all about love of place, love of family, and romantic love. And that place for me is the northern tip of southern Appalachia and central Pennsylvania. And hopefully these poems are reaching toward a love that stretches beyond all of that and informs all of those different types of love. This poem has a epigraph by Jim Harrison. I've been told the heart will run out of blood, but I doubt it. Trout heart. When the trout is hooked deep in his throat and held above the river, water on his jaw is first more water than blood, then more blood than water, until only water is left. But if the heart does run out of blood, will the muscle accept water? I love myself enough to believe my heart is a trout. The trout in my beloved's chest is of the same small stream as mine. Can you tell me how many years it will take for trout and all other gilled things to swim without blood? I think one day enough of us will have died in rivers that hearts can soak under stones, and young people will hand each other warm, waterlogged hearts which become the trout in their chests. The bleeding fish with tails kicking out into the current, fading white bellies rising toward the cradled moon. I don't know if you can tell by my height, but I played basketball. And basketball is my family sport. Everybody in my immediate family played college ball. My brother's playing professionally in Australia right now, and so we worship the God of the Orange Sphere. But my mom, she was a D1 college player. She was a college coach, and so she held this like mythic athletic presence to us growing up. She's a total real human with all the details of a human, but she still held this myth to us. And so this poem is kind of reaching toward those origins, and those origins that my brother and I came from as well. There's also a mention of snapping turtles and oil drums, which might be a lot for NYC, but when you catch snapping turtles and you're going to eat them, you put them in clean water in oil drums before you cook them. But yeah, there's a bleeding title. I like to believe. My mother pulled my brother and me from herself the same way her cousins lifted snapping turtles, quick and tail first, from the oil drums that lined the east side of the wooden garage where the hoop was nailed too high above the gravel to reach. So she shot the basketball into water-filled barrels, each time daring the turtles to bite the ball, each time daring herself to lose a finger. And I'm gonna read one more. We are in the heat of summer, but September's not that far away when the light starts to change a bit. I don't want to rush time away at all, but I do love September light, so this is all about that. So thank you all for being here. The September side of light. On the day no deer dies in the county, and every bear finds enough acorns to eat, then sleeps the rest of the afternoon into night, where they see stars shaped in their image. My beloved and I pick the last tomatoes hanging like slow dripping water, and bring the bread from the kitchen and lie in the yard watching two crows who we have named and who have named us fly from the neighbor's yard, where they talked with him while he dug the carrots his husband planted before he died in May. And the neighbor didn't wash the dirt from the sweet orange skin before he chewed, smiling up at the birds with brown and orange flecks between his teeth. And now the two crows land on the house of the 37-year-old woman who hasn't remembered her uncle's hand on her 13-year-old self in almost 4 days, as she makes a bowl of kettle corn popped in coconut oil and sugar, and thinks she'll walk to the bridge and count the shadows of fish drifting across the sandy bottom. And maybe, if it's not too late when she arrives home, she'll call the man who gave her his number at the supermarket next to the little tubs of caramel for dipping apples. And my beloved and I hang between their yards, having already forgiven each other for the words said in the tenor of talus slopes this morning over oatmeal, and we eat the heavy bread and chew for so long we must start a new conversation every time we swallow. Such good, dense bread that jaws ache in eating, and we welcome the ease of sun-warmed tomatoes and tell each other tomato stories, tilling and planting and picking and eating. More tomato stories than we knew we carried, and in this discovery revel until we each, separately and in two different moments, realize the warmth and release of tomatoes between our teeth is the same as our feasting on the softest, most tender parts of our bodies, and being pulled by that one to climb to the room with the windows facing joyfully west and lie together in that light different from the day before and detached from tomorrow's light, when deer will die and bears will wander hungry and crows will not come to their names. But that time is far from our lane and this room and the 100 more stories, heavy like tomatoes, swaying on the September side of light. Thank you.
Noah Davis! Woo, 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 woo. All right, our last reader, Dorsía Smith Silva's book, An Inheritance of Drowning by CavanKerry Press, was a category finalist for the National Indie Excellence Award, Eric Hoffer Award, and a finalist for the Da Vinci Eye Award. Dorsía is a poetry editor of The Hopper and professor of English at the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras. She is also the editor of Latina Chica Mothering and the co-editor of 7 books. She has also received scholarships and fellowships from the Bread Loaf Writers Conference and Martha's Vineyard Institute of Creative Writing. She is the creator of the Smith Silva Challenge, a reading challenge that highlights poetry books by BIPOC authors, and she has a PhD in Caribbean literature and language. Everyone, please welcome Dorsía Smith Silva.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's give it up for ourselves. Thank you so much, readers. Thank you so much to CavanKerry, Dana, Dimitri, Gabe. It's such a wonderful moment to be here. Also, thank you to my pressmates, Nadia and Noah, for their lovely readings as well. So I'm going to read some poems from my book. It's called An Inheritance of Drowning. It centers around Hurricane Maria, which took place in Puerto Rico in 2017. I also talk about a lot of social, political, and racial injustices happening right now in the United States. The first poem I'm going to read is called What the Poet is Supposed to Write About a Hurricane. What the poet is supposed to write about a hurricane should be skylights of horror, not skit rocks of beauty in walls of wind, affixed to the puzzle pieces of the vortex eye. spinning like a lost continent soul. How the lively whips should stun the mouths of gravity, hissing without hesitation, engulfing the stench of uprooted dirt and grass. The poet is supposed to decode the stanzas, shudder the name Maria into frail syllables, to wish a hurricane a fast and gritty death, not say its stubborn slow dances, held intoxicating possibilities and mysteries. The next poem I'm going to read is Puerto Rico as Non-Erasure. This is a poem that really looks at how so many communities are very vulnerable right now to being erased. Puerto Rico is non-erasure. Survival occupies us with our blank shopping carts, next to blank shelves. We grow desperate because spaces are blank. A hurricane that leaves a bitter taste as stores carry bare wrappers and blank sympathy. To brace for the blank light that is lined with a blank canvas of green. The thought of paying for a generator is a surplus of blank pockets. Our unfinished wishes roll from our lips like blank wishes that wait for air. We already know the point blank news. It is hurricane season, a map to bare knuckle Puerto Rico, how grief piles on top of itself. It is not enough to leave a blank promise, so we cut away the US blanket of support that is transparent like blank paper. During such times as this, we pull apart the blank spaces until those blank stars fill and return to our ocean. Thank you. The next poem I'm going to read is looking at the crisis that we have of migration. It's called Return. The river said, I'll protect you and give you shelter. So we migrants came. We traveled a long journey. The river carried us like familiar wind. Then we walked and dreamed of motionless water, dreamed of water that said, welcome, come, come, come. Then they arrived with hanging scowls, arrived on horses long reined with whips, ran down our bodies, trampled our faces, maimed our voices, made us turn our backs to water, told us water will not protect you here. That water does not belong to you. Your tears belong to you. That water is yours. That water should be plenty. Our tears scramble across miles. They get caught in many rivers. And our bodies keep drowning. We die in so many ways. They say we have no papers, no roots to dayfall here, as we are being sent back. We see the water below us on the plain. It tells us to return. Think of the tendrils pushing through the muddy bottom. We can't look away. I'll read just two more poems. The next one is for all the BIPOC women that go missing and do not get the national attention they so rightly deserve. It's called Ghost Talker Poem. And for the Black girls that go missing from newspaper headlines and Spotlight 5 p.m. news, what happened to them? Kick the can over, see if the bones glint in the slips of sunshine. Press your ears against the grass, listen to what bleeds. My mother in her lovely tongue, those girls are probably with friends, hanging out in the basement, wearing cigarette pants. Cigarette pants were fashionable once. They will turn up like loose change sidelined under sofa cushions, overdue books sandwiched in sweaters, favorite hairpins gagged by vents. Don't fret. Fret is a funny word for a young child. Sounds like forget. Don't forget, I won't. About the Black girls that go missing, probably already dead in a ditch or a field somewhere. I'm not supposed to think about death, passing away, kick the bucket 6 feet under, meeting our maker, which is what my teacher said. The class guinea pig has stopped moving. Mrs. Hayes poked its feet and then shoved it into a shoebox, said that we could bury it across from the tire swing. In the back of the schoolyard, the dirt was ordinary, brown, hard. Eat your snacks, said my mother. Twinkies from 7-Eleven, maybe Wawa. Nothing from Superfresh or Pathmark. White filling, creamy like white fungus, oozing like zit pus, besmirching golden cake. The news says nothing about the black girls that go missing, not even a speck in someone's unread newspaper. Silence is when we inherit ghosts. I see them taking victory laps every night. And my last poem, let's end on positivity. This is a poem about celebration of life. I love the color green, so this is called G is for Greenhood. G is for Greenhood, for spring sitting on my shoulders, then fastening the eye level, chantus, gladiolas, spinning, bowing in the distance, sense of greening until earth gets it right. Green that I can't keep to myself. Say, green belongs within reach, like an abstract of sea pole outside of the flower body. You wouldn't recognize me when I cradle green, for fear of it becoming worn in many places. Even when morning lurks upside down, green, not this green, never hurts. Ask the turacos giving off green among drizzled leaves. Ask the grasshoppers that throw themselves against grass because it glistens. Ask wet green in my blood that hasn't forgotten spared green across homeland, where your green overlaps with mine. Thank you so much.
Dorsía, Smith, Silva, everyone. Noah, Davis, Nadia, Alexis. How many poets we have in the house right now? All puns intended. Poets? Poets? Well, we are open for submissions next year. As a reminder, we are CavanKerry Press. This is just a piece of the diverse, different folks that we have coming through CavanKerry Press. If you have work that explores the emotional and psychological landscapes of everyday life, we want to hear from you. We are near the entrance, CavanKerry Press. I'm Dimitri Reyes, the Marketing and Communications Director. We would love to talk to you, talk shop, talk writing. Thank you all, be blessed, have a good rest of the afternoon. And our books are also on discount, and you get a free book with purchase, so come by and see us.
Let's give it up one more time for the wonderful CavanKerry Press and Dimitri Reyes for hosting that beautiful last block of readers. I am Meredith Starkman. I'm your host on the Brinkley stage all weekend.